Well, Michigan is, in my opinion, like the best running team in the country. I mean, their offensive line is legit, and they get it done.
Well, and I think Harbaugh's starting to figure some stuff out because we were, as State fans, we loved having him there because he just sucked for a lot of years, but he's kind of gotten his act together.
It's true.
It is true. Wrong. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he did, but whatever he did, he's got it rolling now. There's no doubt. And I mean, and I will say, I am a big fan of Mel Tucker. I think Mel Tucker is a great dude and a good coach.
Well, he kind of overperformed that first. Well, would have been last year, whatever that. I think his second year or whatever. Right. But he played that transfer portal about perfect, and then this year everybody caught up. So
he's still a good coach.
He is. He seems like a good dude.
Yeah. So anyway, what we're planning on doing tonight is I just want to sit down and talk to you, Jimmy, about your job and how the good Lord brought you to be the host, like where it started. So I know you're from Ludington. So let's start there. Like, you were born in Ludington?
No, I was actually born kind of in, I think, actually Ann Arbor. I'm not sure, which is sad to say that I was born down that way. But my parents lived at Whitmore Lake, and so I was born down there, and then they moved up to a little town called Toppinabee. I don't know if you know where that is, but Toppinabee, Michigan is on Mullet Lake. So Burt and Mullet Lake are right near Indian River, and they're two of the biggest inland lakes that we have here in the state. Beautiful part of the state. One of my favorites, actually. Sure. But Toppinabee is this little podunk, little touristy, little nothing spot. There's like a bar and a post office. That's about it. So I lived there my first year, and then we lived down in Fowlerville for a couple of years. But moved to Ludington when I was in, I think, third grade. So third grade all the way up from there. So I graduated from Ludington.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And while you were there, I'm assuming just like the rest of us that are outdoorsy people, your dad, I'm assuming, got you into...
my dad got me into hunting and fishing. And so when we moved to Ludington, the salmon fishing was still pretty good. And so we had a little 16-foot aluminum with a 2x6 across the back with a couple downriggers on it. And that's, we'd catch fish. But then the salmon died off. Mm-hmm. And so my dad really turned into more of a golfer in the summer and didn't do a lot of fishing, but he was a big hunter. And so we hunted pretty much everything that you could hunt. So I did some fishing being in Ludington after that, but then the salmon came back. By that time, I was already out of the house and moving on and whatnot. So did a lot more hunting growing up, and so a lot of bow hunting, small game hunting, deer hunting. I remember when turkey season first started again. I can't remember what year that was, but I was like in high school or college or something when it kind of kicked back in or started back up. I don't know what the right term is there, but so did a lot of stuff with my dad, and we have a little cabin up in Sheboygan County, up in that part of the state near Indian River, and so we spent a lot of time up there on state. Grew up pretty much hunting state land most of the time. So,
So let me ask you this: of all the things you've hunted in your day, what is if you had to pick a favorite?
Well, that's a good question. If I could pick anything, it would probably be elk. I love chasing elk. I haven't done it in a while out west, but every year we follow some of the Michigan hunters that get an elk tag. And actually this year, I don't even think I've told you this yet, but my dad actually. So I guess we got some time to tell stories here. But
we got all the time. You got all the time.
So I can listen to you all day.
So this little cabin that we have. There's 2 or 3 guys that kind of owned it. My dad being one of them, and then all the brothers and cousins and whatever. And so one of the guys pulls an elk tag this year. Fred Hannert pulls an elk tag. He's 80 years old.
Wow.
So he gets a hold of me and he's like, Jimmy, what do I do? I need to get a guide. So I'm like, here's who you should get, or one of the guys you should get. And so he calls him and they get it all lined up. And it's pretty expensive right now. An elk guide is pretty expensive. But anywho, so Fred starts emailing me about a week or so after that, like every day, like, Jimmy, you got to call me. Jimmy, you got to call me. And I'm like, and I was traveling, doing whatever else. And so I finally get a hold of him. He's like, I don't think I can do this. And I was like, what do you mean you can't do this? He's like, I haven't been able to sleep. I haven't been able to eat. And I'm so nervous about the hunt, and it's 6 months away. I'm afraid it's going to kill me. I'm going to give the tag back to the state. And I was like, well, don't do that. Like, we got to figure out what we can do. And so you can gift the tag to one of your kids if they're like under 17 or whatever, 16, if they applied for a tag, but they didn't do that. But there's also a little stipulation in there that you can give your tag to someone with a permanent disability. And so my dad, who's had multiple strokes and can't really communicate very well, but physically is okay for a 78-year-old. So we did all the paperwork. So he transferred this bull tag to my dad. And so now I'm getting him out to do some shooting and get him all ready to go so we're going to film it for the show, and I'm going to be with him and help guide him with another buddy that lives up that way, another actual guide. So it's going to be quite a thing. So back to your original answer, elk hunting is really cool. But for the stuff that you can do here in Michigan, I love upland hunting, so grouse and woodcock. But turkey hunting is hard to beat. So deer are down the list for me. I love to eat deer, but grouse and woodcock, and then probably right behind that is turkey hunting.
Yeah, I mean, every year since I've kind of known you, you always spend time in the fall grouse hunting.
October is kind of when I try to hunt. And I had a good bird dog, but she's now too old to hunt, so I go with guys that have good dogs. And I'll get out half a dozen times or whatever, hopefully in October, trying to get out a few more times yet. But then once it hits November, then I start thinking about deer. But this year I kind of did something I've never done. I hunted in that early antlerless season and popped a doe and put one in the freezer, first thing and now it's like pressure's off, meat in the freezer. It's awesome.
Good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So eventually you're done with high school. You end up at Michigan State. What did you like about Michigan State? What made you go there?
I wanted to go to a big school. At that point in time in my life, I was just not too overthinking anything, and just like I was a pretty decent basketball player, and I had some interest. Calvin had recruited me a little bit to go play there, but I was like, I just want to go to a big school. My parents both went to Michigan State, and so I was like, I want to go to a big school. So I went off to state, and and got into. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something in audio video production, which is funny because the only reason I thought about that was do you remember the show WKRP in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
So it's a show about a radio station basically. And I would watch that show and I'm like, that looks pretty fun. So that was my motivation for, let's try radio and video and see what happens. And then once I got into it and I got into video production and audio production. So I graduated with a degree in audio video production from Michigan State. And then went back home for about a year and just trying to find a job in audio video production. And then Spring Hill Camps, which is a Christian camp in Everett, Michigan, one of the biggest ones in the state. And and I had worked there in a couple summers, and they hired me to start a video production facility there. So I worked there for 3 years before I got the job with Michigan Outdoors.
Oh, okay. So you didn't necessarily intern at Michigan Outdoors, though?
No, I never did. So I did an internship at Wood TV in Grand Rapids. So I had an audio video degree for Michigan State, and then you could do your internship in audio or video basically at that time. And so I did it with Wood TV, and then just trying to figure out. And I still had this love of hunting and fishing, but I never really thought I'd be able to put the two together. And so I was working at Spring Hill for, I think I was there almost 3 years. And I got a call from my dad, and he said, hey, Michigan Outdoors is looking for somebody. And I was like, well, how do you know that? And so, long story short, my elementary school gym teacher, Bruce Stubby Horrell is his name, Stubby's his nickname, was the head honcho for Ducks Unlimited at the time. And he was doing a story with Michigan Outdoors, and they're sitting in the duck blind, and Bob Garner had just retired.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're trying to find a new kid to work on the show. And he's like, well, I know this kid that grew up hunting and fishing and has a degree in broadcasting. And they're like, what? Have him get a hold of us. So Bruce had called my dad, said Michigan Outdoors is looking for somebody. And then my dad called me. And so then I called Michigan Outdoors at the time and said, how do I apply for this job or whatever? And they said, well, send us a tape and a resume of some stuff you've edited and shot. And I said, well, I have to be in Lansing in a couple days anyways. I'll just pop in. So at the time, MUCC, or the Michigan United Conservation Clubs, owned the TV show.
Yep.
And so I popped in and gave them a tape, and a couple weeks later, they made me an offer. And so then I was part-time for a couple months trying to make the transition. I was married at the time. And so it took a little bit of, my wife at the time was a teacher. And so she had to finish off her semester. And anyway, so yeah, worked out. So actually, that was in 1998. And so the first show that I ever had my name on was the way we number the shows was 98, 43. So it was the year 1998, the 43rd show. And this week I just did show 2243. So I just finished 24 years today. Finished off that show
Wow.
Awesome.
today. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Golf clap.
So then so next week will be the start of year number 25.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So 24 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, have things changed.
Oh,
so
my word.
I moved to Michigan from Ohio in 92 to go to college at Cornerstone, where your son goes now.
You went to Cornerstone?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did they kick you out or what happened?
Yes. I only actually went to class for one semester out of 3.
Okay, I went to one class out of the 7 I had.
I passed every class my first semester. After that, I don't think I ever passed a class.
Huh.
So I got put on academic probation. I also set the Cornerstone College chapel skip record in one semester. And then they told me after my second failed semester, like, maybe you ought to go be a bricklayer.
Well, funny how the Lord works.
Even in your stupidity, the good Lord will take care of you. That's the story of my
Amen.
life. That's the story of my life.
He does take some weird paths sometimes. But.
That's 100% true. So anyway, did you meet Dana at Spring Hill then, or?
No. So when I was at, well, let's see. Let me backtrack. What years was that? That was, we were there for one summer, and we were dating at that point in time. So no, I met her before that. So I graduated in 1990, and then she graduated 2 years behind me. Met her through their family went to our church, and my sister knew her, and she kind of got us together. And so we were at Spring Hill at the same time as summer staffers, and then I came back and worked. I started in 1996 at Spring Hill, and that was the year that we got married too.
And what year did you graduate high school? 90, you said? Okay,
90.
so I was 92.
Okay.
That's why you're so much more gray than me.
Yes, that's true. Mine is just on the sides, but yours is kind of
I mean, you just
It's all
got
over
that
the place.
black, you kind of look like a mafia dude, really. So anyway, life goes on. You have 3 kids.
Yep.
And one is
The oldest,
Jamie is
21. She is in Hawaii with YWAM, which is Youth with a Mission.
Yep.
And this is her 4th year. She's on staff out there, and was in Uganda for a stretch of time, was in the South Sudan for a stretch of time, and YWAM is kind of a missionary training organization, basically. And so she's loving it and growing a lot spiritually, and has a real serious boyfriend, and I would imagine they'll probably get engaged here in the next few months, if I had to guess. But
has he called and asked yet?
He asked while they were last here, so they were here this summer. So yeah,
jeez, bro, what's his name? Pull the trigger, brother.
But yeah, that was kind of a new experience. I've never, She's like, I think he wants to talk to you on Sunday, and I was like, okay. And so my daughter left with my sister, and it was just he and I was like, so you want to have a talk, eh? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, where do you want to do this here? We were just in the house, and he's like, because he had said, could we go down to the beach and talk, but it was kind of like overcast and looked like it could rain. I'm like, do you want to go out there? And he's like, well, he was all nervous. And I said, why don't we just sit in the driveway? I'll get a couple chairs out. And I said, in fact, let's pour a couple whiskeys. I think we're going to need a couple of
You're really going to need one. You do
But it was
know how
great.
many guns I have.
Super good kid. I could not ask for a better kid for your.
Well, did she meet him at YWAM or?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that's kind of a
You
good,
gotta find a good guy.
good place for me to do it.
It's
I
a
guess.
pretty impressive, place, and just they have bases all over the world, but it's it's quite something. So.
Yeah. So I kind of got to it, then I got sidetracked on my failed college story. I started watching Michigan Outdoors shortly after a friend of mine that was actually one of my roommates in college, Brent Sturdivant.
Oh yeah,
who you've hunted with before on the show. Great turkey caller hunter. He got me kind of interested in turkey hunting because he would goof around with a mouth call in our apartment.
Oh, really?
And that's kind of how I
Okay.
That was my first introduction really to it. And I mean, I grew up in Ohio, obviously, and 2 hours south of our house, they had turkey hunting, but my dad and I never did it. We lived right on the lake, and there was no turkeys up there. I mean, we deer hunted, and they would take me on pheasant hunts and rabbit hunted, and I had a beagle, but never turkey hunted until I got to Michigan. I started, I don't know, 95, 96. Some friend of mine that live up in Morley took me and out a couple times, and the first day we went, called in a bird, didn't shoot him, but called in a bunch of jakes, and I was absolutely hooked.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even, he told me he was going to take me hunting and he was going to call, and I was literally sitting there thinking like, Craig's so full of crap. Like there's no way this is going to work. And then all of a sudden I see all these redheads coming through the woods, and
It's pretty awesome.
oh, it was awesome. I mean, and I like I said, I was absolutely hooked instantly. So anyway, that's kind of how you and I met.
Yeah, I was trying to think on the way over here. Like, I think we met at Outdoorama.
Yeah, and it was when the first time I met you, it was when Outdoorama was at the old place.
Yeah.
And it was like a 10-day show.
Oh, gosh, that was the worst. Yeah, it was back in Novi.
It was the worst.
What was that place called? Whatever it was.
The first show I ever did with my calls was a 5-day show. It went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
And they had just dropped
Well, I
it.
think you did a story. Wasn't it with Gabe? Did something with you?
Yeah, we did a gear and gadget segment that you guys used to have.
Yeah, and then we got hooked up, and but we haven't hunted together now in a couple of years. We got to.
We did last year because we filmed Tay.
Was that last year? Or was it 2
Yeah,
years
that was
ago?
21.
That was 21.
Was it 20? Yeah, it was 21.
I think it was a year ago.
Okay.
It was last year. Yep.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, because I took Taylor back there to the same exact spot.
This year.
Yeah, and somebody needs to learn how to shoot. Just saying.
Coming for you, Taylor.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a fun hunt.
that was fun. It was weird. This year was the same way. Just walking back and forth the whole day. Anyway, so back then, when I first got into turkey hunting and I got interested, and it was, I'm going to say 96, 97, Bob Garner was still doing Michigan Outdoors. I mean, we would it was like we would sit down and watch Michigan Outdoors on Thursday night, like, which a lot of people still do. But back then, that was the only way you could see it.
True.
Or, it might replay on Saturday or Sunday morning, but, I mean, you had to watch it to see it. Now you can watch it online and
DVR it and everything
yeah,
else.
it's completely different. So, but, man, times have changed. I remember if Bob Garner was going to go somewhere, I mean, there would be hundreds of people there. Or if Jay's would do a turkey hunting workshop up in their room up in Clare, there would be 400 people trying to pack into that, because that was how you got information.
Yeah.
Was like live seminars. And now the whole outdoor thing, as you well know, has changed, and the world has changed, and everything is different. But
Well, there was no, when I started with Michigan Outdoors, there was no outdoor channel. There was no sportsman's channel. There was no pursuit channel. There was no nothing, you know? So the only outdoor show that you could get for you and for me growing up in Michigan was Michigan Outdoors, and Michigan Out of Doors, basically. And so that was it. That's all there, So in my time that I've been with Michigan Outdoors, has been all these outdoor channels and all these YouTube shows and all, and everybody and their brother, because the equipment came down to where it's somewhat manageable for anybody to buy the stuff.
right.
But
I mean, look at this podcast.
anybody can do it.
Two buffoons.
But it does
$100.
It gets down to where, like, can you tell a story, and can you put something out there that people actually want to see? And so there's an art form, I think, to it and not that I figured it out. I think people before me figured it out, but you can get the right camera, and you can have the right microphones, and you can have the right gear and the laptops or the computers to edit a show. But can you get somebody to pay you to do it?
Right.
Can you produce a show? Can you do 52 a year, which is crazy that we do that many, but we try to, we do. But can you tell a story in a way that somebody wants to watch it? Instead of just, here's another turkey falling over, another deer tipping over. It's like there's a lot more to it, as when you get into a hunt. So.
1 sec. We get in a lot of comments that our audio is bad.
No, we're not. We're good. That was one, and Jennifer said it's good.
Okay.
So we're good.
Good to have people out there checking up on you.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, when we first started, like, kind of being hanging out,
Yeah.
I remember coming over to your house one day, and this was when you moved to Grand Haven, and I came over one day, and that day you had to go to Grand Rapids to drop off the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much things have changed just since, what was that, maybe 10 years ago or what?
Well, and it was only not even a year ago that we had to, for a long time, we mastered the show to a beta tape. And that's how we got the show to PBS. And then once things went to HD, which was right about the time that I bought the television show from MUCC, which would have been beginning in 2009, was when everything switched from standard definition to high definition. And we were driving hard drives back and forth for a long time. And it wasn't really until the last year or so that we were actually able to transfer it online. So it's come a long way.
Okay. Okay. Well, so then you obviously have gotten to, I mean, pretty much every piece of Michigan
there's still a lot of towns and roads you get on that you've never been on before, and that's kind of fun. But you tend to gravitate towards some of your favorite spots, and you end up doing stuff within 2 hours of where you live, probably a little bit more than
anything else,
but so I'm over out here on the west side of the state. Jordan's kind of in the middle, and Jenny's on the east side, and we still go all over, but we try to gear up a little bit more where she'll cover more of the east side stuff, and I'll cover more of the west side stuff. But that's not a hard and fast rule. So,
so give us a moment or an embarrassing something that happened that made the hunt very memorable. Like, there's got to be something that like I can remember one I thought was really funny, and nothing against, but I remember one year I was a judge at Outdoor Rama for when Jenny was, or when Kelly Gotch was on the show with you.
Okay.
And they did you get to hunt, or Kelly would come, and they had a contest, and Kelly would come and film your show, and there was a turtle dude on there. Do you remember that?
I do.
I mean, but the guy was legit because he ate everything. He was field to table.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was like a turtle specialist.
Yeah.
And I voted for him, and he didn't win. But.
No, we did a story with that guy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I think he might have been the winner because it was really, I don't remember all the details, but it was a little weird. It's just, having female co-hosts, I think you got to be a little careful of where you send them. And, and Jenny has grown up with 4 or 5 brothers, so she can, but, that's always just been a little weird, just have to be sensitive to that. Because we go some places and we're pretty trusting that we usually ask the people quite a few questions and try to figure out, what,
right.
Do you really know what you're talking about or not? And even when you know what you're talking about, there's nothing's guaranteed, but, so we just have to be careful with that. But you do get yourself into some weirdo situations. You're like, this could go really bad. I was meeting some guys for a salmon fishing story one time. It was in the fall, and they're like, this is before you had GPS and on your phone, and it was like, okay, well, you're gonna go down this road, and then you're gonna see a big oak tree. You're gonna turn left on that 2-track, and then you're gonna go past a rock. And once you get past the rock, you're gonna look down. Just keep looking to your left, and you're gonna see a light down this other 2-track. That's where our cabin's at. And so I'm following along, and there's a red pickup there. And I'm like, so I pull, it's dark as can be, and I pull, and there's one light bulb outside of this cabin. Oh. I'm like, this is creepy, and I'm like, I hope these, and they end up being awesome.
Was it blinking?
No, it wasn't blinking, and they were awesome. But I was like, this could be really bad, it could
middle of nowhere
with some hill jacks that you just are like, what in the. But no, they were great and have done multiple things. For the most part, the Michigan Sportsman, I'd like to think is a pretty good group of guys, and not all. I figure they were all like the guys I grew up with in my hunting camp. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but there's still the vast majority of them are pretty good guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
we always have You know, I mean, I did them shows for 20 years.
Yeah.
And almost 20 years. And there is always a few people at every show when I'm doing a booth that are just almost not tolerable. And it, you know, but I also learned how to enjoy those people a little bit too.
You just have to kind of, you know, just don't take things too seriously. We get overwhelmingly good comments on the show, but we get a lot of people every week that just can't stand what we're doing for whatever the reason is. And you just, you know,
it's probably your face.
Could be. Bugs me too. But you know, you just get a thick skin and you're like, you know what? You're not going to make everybody happy. And so you just do the best you can. And I just try to do something that I think I would like to watch. And
Right.
I know one of my predecessors before me was Fred Trost, and who I watched growing up. And he was very political towards the end, and some people loved that. You know, they loved it just because it was very combative. And but I really want people, when they watch our show, to be like, you know what, I want to get outside. I want to go do that.
Right.
And so I want to encourage people to, whatever you think of the DNR, whether you think they're doing a good job or you think they're communists from Russia, you know, don't worry about them. Like, go out and hunt and fish and have a good time, and just take your kids, take your family, get out there with your friends, and that's what it's all about. Don't let all the politics wreck your time in the outdoors.
Right. Use this beautiful state. Like, seriously, it is awesome. I mean, you know, like, I hunt in Nebraska every year. We have a lot of friends in Iowa, and everybody out there, I mean, they absolutely love the state of Michigan. You know, it's just it's kind of unique in the fact that we're surrounded by water pretty much.
If you grow up here, you just take it for granted.
Exactly.
You know, there's just so much
to do.
It's a great place.
It is. And hunting opportunities, especially with the bear hunting, and I mean, slim chances, but I mean, your dad has an elk tag now.
Yeah, we know. And Gabe, he got an elk tag.
Yep.
Bob Garner got one a few years back.
And Brent Sturdivant's son got one.
Oh, nice.
A couple of years ago, or maybe last year, I can't remember, but definitely a awesome state. And I think that the political thing, like the Fred Trost thing, like that got probably more people turned off than
you know, it's hard to say. I think he did a great job for a lot of years.
He
really did. He was kind of before his time, really. He was trying to do online video stuff before you could really do online video stuff.
Okay,
where it was just the technology really wasn't quite there yet, and so he just had to beat his head against the wall a little bit trying to get done what he wanted to get done. But he was a super smart dude and really kept Michigan outdoors.
Well, he had like a law
air.
degree or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and it was unfortunate the way it all went down towards the end of his career, but you know, he was the guy that I watched growing up, you know, and I got to meet him a couple different times. And,
it used to be Michigan Outdoors and Fred Trost was kind of on the same night, wasn't it?
Well, so the show that he had originally was called Michigan Outdoors. So it started back in the 1950s with Morton F. And it was Michigan Outdoors.
Yeah, I remember Morton F.
Morton F.
I know of. I don't
Morton
remember.
F. Jerry Geppetta, and then Fred Trost, and Fred had it for about 20 years. He did outdoor TV, so then he went after Buckstop Lures and would not let it go, and so they ended up suing him.
Okay.
And they won the case. So he went bankrupt, and the name Michigan Outdoors came up for sale. And the Michigan United Conservation Clubs, who at the time had a magazine called Michigan Out of Doors, bought that name and legally own it and still own it. So Fred sued them to get the name back, but he couldn't get it back. So then he switched his show to be called The Practical Sportsman.
Right, that's what it was.
So
that was on PBS too.
That was on PBS as well, and then
MUCC
restarted the show Michigan Out of Doors with Bob Garner as the host, and that's so yeah.
Gotcha, little Michigan Out of Doors history.
There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. So, other than work, what do you do for fun? I mean, I kind of know, but these people probably want to know.
Well, I mean, I try to do some hunting and fishing when I'm not hunting and fishing for the show. So it can be a blessing and a curse when what you do is what you love at the same time, you know, because sometimes it feels more like work. And so if I'm turkey hunting or deer hunting, when I can tape myself, I'll bring a camera along. And so that's always there. Bird hunting I kind of like because I can't do that, you know. So I do that.
The Tacticam.
Yeah, you can do that. But I play some golf in the summers. But mostly, I still just love to travel and hunt and fish and have a camera or not have a camera. That's kind of what I like to do.
Gotcha.
But I'm also chasing after kids, and being a single dad has been kind of a new challenge the last it's been 5.5, 6 years now. So, so that kind of was a whole new wrinkle of life that I wasn't quite ready for, but
right.
Yeah. So
that was tough. That was I kind of watched that all go down, and that
was you were kind of with me through that journey. So it was been a little over 5.5. Well, it'll be 6 years in January that my wife's been gone. So lost the battle with pancreatic cancer, but was the worship leader at our church, and that was probably the most significant thing that's probably happened to me in my life, was going through that whole, which a lot of people watching this, or a lot of people are touched by cancer, so we were not alone, but so, but we're in a good spot. It's been an interesting 5-6 years.
Yeah. I still can't hear that song, Lord, I Need You, without thinking about Dana singing that song when she was sick, and that video of her was just, she was good people.
Yep.
So anyway, I have
transition.
I have completely made a complete moron list of questions.
This is a really good list of questions. I'm going
to ask you.
Okay.
I mean, and we could probably go.
I've had no input in this, by the way. I just got sent this text message last night of, this is what we're asking Jimmy. And I said, all right.
Well, I was sitting on the couch last night, and I was kind of trying to come up with some unique interview questions.
Okay.
Because I think people do want to.
Say the least.
I think people do want to hear your story, but I think also people want to get to know, like who is this guy outside of Michigan Outdoors? Because I mean, honestly, obviously you and I are pretty good buddies, and you have other good friends around, but there's a lot more to you than just being the host of Michigan Outdoors. I mean, even though you do got a job that makes a lot of people jealous. So
true.
Excuse me, I have a cold, so I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but October is National Dwarfism Awareness Week.
No, month.
Sorry, week. October is a month. I am a bricklayer. Give me some slack. Okay, so month. So my first question for you is, are you a fan of micro wrestling? And if so, who would your favorite micro wrestler be?
I don't even know what micro wrestling means. Like little people wrestling?
Yeah, yes. Little people wrestling.
How little do you have to be considered little?
I think that you have to be under 5 foot to be considered
a dwarf.
Huh.
So anyway, there's a whole league.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look it up.
He watches it on TikTok. That's where it comes from.
It's called the Micro Wrestling League.
I've been sent way too many of these TikToks.
Oh, wow.
It's entertaining. I mean,
yeah, see, I'm not really on social. I kind of made the decision I have my own Twitter page, and we have a Facebook page for Michigan Outdoors and an Instagram page. So I'm on social media for the TV show, but I'm really not on as me.
Okay.
That's really not a bad thing. It's
I kept
healthy.
thinking, well, should I get more involved? And it's like, you know what? I've got more emails right now that I can't even get to for the show. Like the last thing I need is more
messages and
people to respond to, and so.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question. Have you ever tried to see how many licks it takes to get the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Yes. I think I probably did. I'll go with 37.
Did you make it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I heard 72 was the right answer.
Oh, well, that's halfway there.
Well,
yeah.
you must be a...
Do you remember those shows or those commercials that they had back with the
little owl?
With the little owl. It'd be like 1, 2, 3, 3.
Yep. All right. Did you have a futon in your college dorm room?
I did not.
Okay. Easy questions, right? Were you really a good high school basketball player?
I was pretty good. I started as a junior and a senior, and was the leading scorer my senior year. So Most I ever scored in one game was 31.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Could you touch the rim?
Oh yeah, I could almost dunk it. I could get my hand above the rim, but I couldn't palm the ball. I could dunk like a volleyball.
Okay, so you were kind of springy for a white dude.
I had the junior high vertical leap record back in the day. I don't know if it still stands, but
Ooh, I bet that record's been broke. All right. What's your favorite zoo animal?
zoo animal?
Yeah.
We went to a zoo when we were out in Phoenix this year seeing relatives. I'd say a lion.
A lion, yeah, they're cool.
And tiger, lion and tiger. They're pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite piece of a chicken dinner?
I'll go with boy, that's I smoke a lot of chicken. So, but I smoke mostly chicken breasts, but the thighs are really, really good and the legs. I mean, I'd just say smoked any piece that's smoked.
Smoked.
That would
Yeah.
be my favorite.
Okay. All right, so smoked chicken is your deal.
Yes.
Okay. Besides turkey, the Thanksgiving meal specialty dish you absolutely have to have is
For Thanksgiving?
mm-hmm.
Probably my mom's cheesy potatoes.
Okay.
It's a
Ooh.
standard.
Okay. Steak or seafood?
I don't know. That's a really tough one. I love them both. I'll go with steak, but it's right after that would be seafood. So, but I'll go surf and turf would be my favorite.
Dude, he's like being Switzerland. He's like being Switzerland. Okay. Favorite freshwater fish to eat? Don't say smelt either.
No, I'll probably go perch.
Okay. I can
Classic.
I could get down with that.
Walleye, perch, bluegill, all those are pretty
Those
tough
are
to beat.
yeah.
Although smoked steelhead, I really like too. I
Yeah.
like smoked salmon, but you get the right pieces trout and smoke that, it's good.
Yeah. I like brook trout's good.
Oh, brook trouts! I thought growing up because we never were trout fishermen, and everybody was releasing these fish back. I'm like, they must be terrible to eat. And then I finally ate one. I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we releasing anything? These things are awesome to eat.
They are, but they're fragile.
Very.
Yes. So I've only kept ones to eat that I killed taking hooks out or whatever.
Right.
Okay. What was the name of your favorite teacher in high school? Keep in mind they may be listening.
I would say, what was his name? I had a sixth grade teacher that was a guy. Mr. Killips was his name.
Killips.
Yeah, and he just didn't have many
Like
male
Phillips,
teachers.
but with a K?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was a good dude.
Yeah. I had one too. My favorite was Mr. Stahl.
Oh.
He was awesome. Like made you like science. You know what I mean? Like he was just a cool dude.
Yeah.
Asian food, yes or no?
I'll go with yes. I don't eat a ton of it, but I do like it.
Favorite Asian dish?
General Tso's chicken.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Got a little.
Oh, the other thing. So there's a Thai place. It's in Grand Haven called Mama Thai's, and their chicken fried rice.
So good.
Forget about it.
All right. I don't know why I haven't been invited there yet. I mean, I think we put brands out of business.
We must have. I don't think they're around anymore.
They're not around
They're
anymore.
not.
That's where we used to meet for lunch.
We didn't eat enough wings.
We didn't get together enough.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Oh gosh, give me dogs all day long. The only thing a good cat needs is a 5-iron.
Cats are sneaky.
Oh, they're the worst. And I'm allergic to them, so yeah.
This one's very controversial.
Okay.
What's a better organ, the large or small intestine?
I have no idea.
Okay. Me neither.
I'll go large.
It's just something I thought about
Sure.
at 11 o'clock at night. I feel like the large has to
You
do
were
it.
probably a little gassy at the time. You were.
I mean, you could, if you guessed that 95% of the time, you would be right.
It's a real thing. It's a very real thing.
Bethany cleaned the podcast room tonight.
No, oh, the worst story is before we had the guest on the last time we had the podcast, he farted in this room and it sat here for 20 minutes at least. And he left to go to the bathroom and the guest came down.
This is such
and
a
she
lie.
was like, wow, it smells really bad in here. And I was like, well, Seth just farted and it won't go away. And I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
disgusting.
All right.
Oh, sorry, Jackie.
This is about Jimmy, not me.
you brought it up.
Do you like Brussels sprouts?
I would say no, but my daughter bought some at Paisley Pig recently
So good.
when she was home, and they're like cooked in bacon or something. And they, oh my gosh, and they were edible.
We're fans of Paisley Pig.
We are fans of the
Em and
Pig.
Tay work there, and so we went there a couple
Yeah.
times.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite pro football team?
You know, I'm kind of a fan of players more than I am teams. Of course, I'm going to say Lions just because you got to, because you live in Michigan. But I always liked to watch. You know, so when Peyton Manning was playing, I liked watching him play, and so now, you know, I'd like. It was
Give
fun
us
to
your
see-
best Omaha.
Omaha. I do like. It's fun to see Stafford playing well, you know, out there with the Rams. And I think I don't know if it's on Facebook or wherever I saw it, but it was a spoof of them in the Detroit, you know, football stadium, hanging a banner that said, "Our old quarterback just won the Super Bowl," and they hung a banner.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
That's as close as they're gonna get, probably.
Man,
But they're biting kneecaps and doing good stuff.
dude,
now.
I was drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. Like so much. I love Dan Campbell, and I will argue this. He's got to get at least a whole year next year before we get rid of him.
I think people really like him.
Oh,
They're
he's
playing for
awesome,
him,
dude.
and-
Yeah, they play hard.
yeah.
I mean, they do stupid stuff, but they play hard. I do feel like after watching the game Sunday that they are cursed. Like, we get down to the 1 yard line to go ahead in the fourth quarter and fumble the ball and end up losing 24-6.
I know.
And we were about ready to go ahead 13. I mean, it's just like, and the guy that fumbled don't fumble ever.
Yeah.
And he fumbled 2 times. I mean, yeah, crazy.
Yep. They have a way of lining it up.
Do you think Whitney Houston was right? Are children really the future? Because aren't children in the future really just adults? I mean, think about it.
Oh gosh, when were you coming up with these questions?
Last night.
Sure, yeah, I think they're the.
I was not
they're
around.
the future. Sure.
Okay. What's better, Visa or
It
MasterCard?
doesn't matter as long as you can pay the bill.
Okay. Have you ever gotten through the whole song of 100 bottles of beer on the wall?
Probably. Back in my party days, I probably did. I was in a fraternity at Michigan State, so
Makes
that's
sense.
a whole nother level.
Wow.
We had 140 guys in our fraternity, and I think what was it, about 50 or so lived in the house, and so I lived there my junior year, and that was quite the scene.
Have you ever flown first class?
Nope.
Me neither. Do you believe in the flat earth theory?
Nope.
What size are your feet?
11.
That's it. Oak or walnut?
We'll go walnut.
Me too. Do you brush your dog's teeth?
Nope, I never did.
You act like you do anything with our dog.
I play with the dog.
You left the dog in the rain today.
Yeah, because she was trying to throw her tennis ball in my hot tub. All right. Is the semicolon the little stepbrother of the colon or more like a cousin?
We'll go with redheaded stepchild.
Who's the better neighbor, Canada or Mexico?
Canada. They have whiskey.
And hockey. What's your favorite fruit?
Fruit? Is an apple a fruit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll go with apple.
Jeez, dude, you went to college? What do you guys learn at State?
We didn't learn about vegetables.
Ludington Elementary. You guys need
That's
to.
not an easy distinction between a fruit and a vegetable. I've heard multiple.
Fruits grow on trees. That's what I heard.
Yeah, but tomatoes a fruit.
But tomatoes don't. Oh, wait. Yeah, but like, are they?
Well, strawberries are fruit, aren't they? And they grow on the ground.
It's trees and like vines.
This doesn't have to do with seeds.
I don't.
Seeds are inside or outside.
Oh yeah, maybe that's it. But wait, isn't strawberries have seeds on the outside?
This is the thing. I don't know.
What is the distinction?
Maybe we should ask a Canadian.
What?
You can do some research on that.
Do you have a feather pillow or memory foam?
Memory foam.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that tells us what kind of guy you are.
I actually have both. I have one that I hold on to and one that I have under my head.
You hug a pillow when you sleep?
I do.
Oh, you're so cute. Soap or body wash?
Body wash.
Mm-hmm. Do you always buy real maple syrup?
I do not. I get some for free, and then when that's gone, then we go to the. Well, but actually, my kids prefer the crap stuff.
Me too.
So,
I don't know why.
That's what they get used to.
What's your opinion on sugar-free syrup?
I don't think I've ever had it.
It's horrible. Don't try it.
I wouldn't think.
That's nasty.
Oh,
yeah.
What's better, oatmeal, cream of wheat, or grits?
Oatmeal.
Okay, I can go with that. I'd go grits. What would you go?
If it's grits down in Florida, then that's a whole nother deal.
Yeah, they make
Probably
real stuff.
Oatmeal over grits, I think. I don't know. I don't like the texture of any of them.
I'm a big fan of grits. My mom, when we were little, my mom made grits, and I love it. My mom's peeps are from Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, she grew up in New Jersey, but her mom and dad came from Georgia, so we got a little Southern in there, you know. Pancakes or French toast?
Ooh, both good. I'll probably go pancakes. I might probably make those more often.
Okay. Do you have a charcoal, gas, or pellet smoker? Or electric?
My smoker is a pellet smoker.
What is your grill?
My grill is a propane grill, but I have not used it in a long time. I do everything on the smoker now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even when I'm doing a burger or a steak, or I'll do it fast.
Does your smoker go up to like 500?
It does.
Yeah,
so I'll do them at like 400. So.
I have a Pit Boss pellet grill that smokes too.
Yeah.
So you can like crank it up to like 500 if you want to.
Because you can just do a chicken breast like you would on the grill. Just gets but when you're that high a temperature, you don't get a lot of smoke into it, but it gets a little bit.
Right.
So
yeah, it tastes better, I think.
It does.
If you could meet one historical figure besides Jesus,
now, why do you say besides?
Who would it be? See, Thomas and I had this conversation on the show when he was a guest.
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't want to pick Jesus because I know I'm going to see Jesus someday anyway. So that's like a given. But like, I picked George Washington because he had wooden teeth.
It's a horrible reason to pick somebody.
That's really not
That's not
the
a good
reason.
choice. So somebody that, maybe Billy the Kid.
Would you run with him back in the day?
Yeah, there was a point in time where I probably would have.
What would your Western outlaw name been?
I don't know.
If he's Billy the Kid, you would have been.
Can't be Jimmy the Kid.
You can't be Jimmy the Greek.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. No, I don't know. That's a good question. Jesse James. I kind of
Jimmy James.
Those old cowboys are kind of. I like watching westerns.
They're cool. Yeah, me too. I'm a big best Western guy. Let's go at that.
Best Western?
Yeah, like best Western actor.
Oh, I got to go with Clint Eastwood.
Me too.
So, what do you think? Do you like? So, is it which one you like better? Outlaw Josie Wales, or
you can stop right there,
or Pale Rider?
My favorite movie, my favorite two Eastwood movies, are Outlaw Josie Wales #1, and Joe Kidd #2.
Joe Kidd.
You got to watch that one.
Huh. Have you ever seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Yes.
That's a really good one too.
How about I just saw another one the other day, and I didn't even know he was in it, and I'm not going to remember the name of it. But I was like, I didn't know he was in that.
Is that a Clint Eastwood one?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Huh. But Pale Rider's great. I just watched Is it Pale Rider, the one where he makes them paint the town red? No,
No,
High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter.
I just watched that part of that today.
That one's pretty good too.
Yeah, when he makes the micro wrestler the sheriff.
That's right.
In the movie.
It comes back to that.
Okay. Have you ever prospected for gold?
Nope.
Would you film that for Michigan Outdoors?
I mean, I could, but when that was a big deal on the Outdoor Channel, I was like, why is this on the Outdoor Channel? But
I agree.
People get into it.
But it is outdoors.
It is outdoors, but so is golf.
I mean, I think you and I had a conversation one time about you were talking about somebody should make a show called like it was going to be about
all the other stuff in the outdoors.
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
I thought long and hard about that actually. So
yeah, I remember we talked about that one time, and I was like,
it would have been fun. I just would be doing more of the stuff I don't like to do and less of the stuff I do like to do.
Right. Not that stuff's not fun. It's just not as fun to me as fishing and hunting.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I get it. Favorite fast food restaurant?
I'll go Arby's.
Okay. Do you watch Yellowstone?
I watched the first. I don't have the whichever. I think it's Paramount Plus. Maybe that one's on. I don't have. I've watched like the first one or two. It looks really good, but I don't have that channel or whatever.
Yeah, I have not watched it, and I did not watch Game of Thrones.
I didn't either.
But people get addicted to those things.
Yeah,
I did get hooked on. There's 2 Netflix, actually 3 that I've binge watched kind of.
Yeah.
One was something about King. It was
The Last Kingdom.
The Last Kingdom. My favorite one that I watched was Turn.
Oh, never heard of that.
Washington Spies.
Did you ever see Longmire?
No, I have seen it, but I didn't.
That's a good one.
Yeah, my dad loves that. You and my dad should watch TV together. Old people. Over 50.
Over 50.
And then the other one I got hooked on was Frontier with Jason Momoa.
Oh, is that on Netflix?
That's Netflix too. That's good.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it gets old. I feel like all those shows get the first season or 2 are really good.
Yeah.
And by season 3 and 4, they just dig too deep to try to get a story.
Did you watch any of the Stranger Things?
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
I loved it.
Addicted to that.
It's very addicting.
That was during COVID. So I think I watched all of season 1 in a day. So
Why are we frozen?
We're still recording though, so I'll just repost it later.
Okay. All right.
Wait, did you watch the new season of Stranger Things?
yeah. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. It
was
was a little
like-
creepy, but
that was the 4th season? Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
And
like
they
1 and
split
2
it.
were crazy. 3 maybe not as good, but then 4 was pretty good. And yeah, it was.
4 started off kind of like horror-y, and I didn't love it.
Got a little more dark, yeah.
But it got really good toward the end, so I kind of
Yeah.
stuck it out. Yeah.
It was super good.
Mm-hmm.
Best ever TV sitcom.
Seinfeld.
Agreed. Boxers
Which
are
is-
briefs.
Boxers.
Hey, Seinfeld's on Netflix now, just so you're aware.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
I saw it the other day when I was browsing.
King James version or New International?
New International. Might even go NLT.
Hey,
Oh.
that's my version too.
I'm a ESV guy. Serious.
You've always been kind of fancy.
Speaking of that, here's the next question. On your good-looking friends list, where do I rank?
You would be in my manly friends, looking manly friends that are.
Oh, that's so nice.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure. He says sure.
Toast, English muffin, or biscuit?
Biscuit.
Best biscuit you've ever had.
Have you ever had just the ones, the Pillsbury ones out of the can? They're pretty stinking good.
They're really good.
Yeah.
I like the Pillsbury ones that come in the frozen bag.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you're talking about the Grands, right?
Yeah,
the Pillsbury
Grand's
Grand.
really good.
So, have you ever bought the bag of frozen ones?
I think I have had those before. They're super good.
So, take those. This is coming from a straight up fat guy. take those, put a little bit of oil in the bottom of a pan. They say do it ungreased, but put a little bit of oil in the bottom of your pan and put them all like you're supposed to so they're touching. And then on the package, it will say, if you want a fluffier biscuit, cook it at 325 for a longer amount of time. So do that. And then as soon as the top gets brown, starts getting brown, spray cooking oil right on the top of it, and then put it in the broiler for like till they get a little bit more brown and it crisps them up. And then the oil on the bottom makes the bottom kind of crispy. And then oh, dude, like it's
pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, if you like cholesterol,
I mean, who doesn't though?
it's
Oh goodness.
it's pretty good.
That's
America runs on cholesterol.
Yep. So anyway, believe it or not, we just like rapid fired 41 questions.
You came up with 41 questions?
Yeah, well,
good.
That was awesome. Good job.
Brian helped me a little bit, Van Hoover's.
Oh, did he?
With the last few, yeah. I texted him the list. He's kind of like my go-to media guy.
Okay.
Nothing against this lovely.
I got a lot of stuff going on.
It's a
It's
nice
all
setup
right.
you got in here.
So Bethany's kind of in the audio, visual.
I would think so. Look at all
Reporter
this stuff.
type.
Yes.
Thing, I
world, sort of, kind of media production
guess. I
stuff.
kind of do a little bit of it all, yeah.
So, if you had one piece of advice for up and coming young,
Outdoor videography people and
yeah,
production people.
because you know as well as I do, especially it has calmed down a little bit the last few years, but I would say the peak of it was probably 2010 to 2015. Every time I would do a consumer show, which we used to do like 10 of them a year in different states and stuff, trying to peddle the turkey calls, I would have 10 young guys come up to me and want me to sponsor their show. And, it was just, and that's slowed a little bit, I think. I think because now it's like you mentioned it earlier, it's really easy to buy some stuff and film
your own thing.
Film your hunt.
Right.
And throw it on YouTube or do your own podcast or whatever. It's pretty simple now.
Yeah.
But in 2010, it was all kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And, everybody wanted a show and they needed sponsors. And, most of the guys like me were guys who are, I'm making turkey calls out in my own barn.
Yeah.
Paying, my buddy would cut them for me,
Yeah.
on a CNC router, and then I would bring them home. And it just was like the outdoor world is just so different now. And you even see it like with mainstream singers and rappers, like so many people got famous on social media.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then now they're, everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
So it's just a totally different world.
It is. And for a lot of those outdoor shows that started out, and there's a lot of them that are just on YouTube, which is great. You just have to figure out kind of what your niche is.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have people once a week, I'll have somebody email me saying, how do I, I want to do outdoor TV. What do I do? And it's like, well, do you know how to run a camera? Nope. Do you know how to edit? Nope. But I love to hunt and fish. Love to hunt and fish. I'm like, well, this job is probably 70% video production,
right?
30% outdoors. So you have to get really good or better at you got to be able to produce content.
Mm-hmm.
And even Brandon Nutt, who lives here in town, he would love to work with us, and we hire him from time to time. And but it takes time. You got to, he's a super good hunter.
Oh,
and he's learning how to
do the rest of it.
And even, because he'll get all these good kills on tape, or somebody will send me like, oh, can you air this? It's like, well, I need them getting out of the truck. And I need it, and it needs to be in focus, and the lighting needs to be right, and then you're loading the thing, and I need some shots of them walking to the blind, and I need them getting into the blind, and an interview afterwards, and so all the other stuff. It's not just the getting the critter falling over or a fish coming out of the water, and so it takes some time. But so yeah, and he's doing a great. He's getting better and better, but then we try to always have some of these guys like that are able to send us some stuff from time to time. But so if somebody's out there and wants to get into outdoor TV, it's like, well, just start doing it. Just tape all your hunts, video, and start editing all your stuff. And or for Bethany doing this, it's like, this is a great way to get your feet wet and say, do I like doing this? First of all, is it fun for me? Does it bring you? Does it fill you up or does it drain you? Kind of a thing. Yeah. So I just tell people to just get your feet wet and try it. But it's mostly in my world, it's guys that love to hunt and fish, and we'll just figure out the TV stuff. And then you have the TV people that don't know anything about the outdoors, that are trying to do an outdoor show that don't really know about the outdoors. So if you got to kind of know both worlds to try to make it work. So.
Yeah. All right, Bethany, you ask him a question because I've kind of dominated the whole thing.
Well, there's 2 questions that people asked on Facebook. Now that it buffered and we're not live anymore, but I'll post it. But there was one person asked, do you ever hunt outside of Michigan? And if so, what is your favorite place outside of?
Well, I used to go out west every other year until I have the dog that I have right now, because then I can only take about 1 week off during the fall. Mm-hmm. So for years we would do South Dakota pheasants, and then 2 years later we would do like a mule deer hunt or an antelope hunt, and then 2 years later we'd do a pheasant hunt. We'd usually go about every other year. So I did South Dakota tons of times pheasant hunting, North Dakota, Iowa pheasant hunting, and then elk in Colorado, mule deer in Wyoming. And I haven't been out west in a while, but I am doing actually this year on the November the 16th. I'm flying out to do a Montana mule deer hunt. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I haven't been out of the state in a while doing anything like that. But and I did do an Alaska moose hunt one time and caught didn't get a moose, but shot a caribou up there and caught a bunch of grayling and had grayling and caribou backstrap on the fire, around the fire
That's awesome.
in Alaska. That was pretty great.
Does caribou taste good?
Caribou's awesome. It's
really?
A lot like elk.
Huh.
So, yep.
All right, the other question is, every sportsman has been busted by the DNR. Why were you busted?
I have never been ticketed. I've been checked twice while in the field. And then I was with someone trout fishing one time, and we were not in the right spot of the river, and they checked us out there too. But I've never gotten a ticket. So.
Oh, good job.
Knock on wood. So
that's pretty good for somebody who goes out in the woods and does stuff for
I've done
25
enough stuff
years.
that I probably could have been ticketed for, but that was a long time ago.
Doesn't matter now. They never caught you.
Roy Miller wants to know who's a better turkey hunter, Jimmy or Seth?
I'll go with Seth, just because that's the proper way to answer that question.
I think
actually, I learned a lot. I mean, I've turkey hunted as long as you have, or longer. But I think I learned a lot from hunting with you over the years. One of the things I learned from you was, which I don't even think you even were registered for it, because typically when I hunt turkeys, they'll set up on a field edge and try to call them into the field. Well, and I hunted enough with you where you'll go 20 or 30 yards inside the field edge and set up there instead of on the field edge, which I always thought was interesting. And so learned some of that from you about, sometimes they feel a bit safer to come in right there than coming out into the open. And we've killed them in the fields and we've killed them in the woods, but
right.
But yeah, I've learned some stuff from you over the years.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you who's good, and I hate to say this because his head will probably get big and he'll float away, but Gabe is good.
Oh, he's a.
He's good at everything, but he's one of the better turkey hunters I feel like that I've ever hunted with.
He is a good hunter. Jordan's a really good hunter.
Well, Jordan can voice call.
Yeah,
pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
I've called him in doing that too, but I'm not as good as he is. But he can't get very loud with that.
Right.
So I am a better killer than I am a hunter. I'm a decent hunter. I'm a really good killer. So if you put me in proximity of the game that you want to get shot, I'm gonna get it. But I don't do the food plots. I don't do the scent control. I don't do the all the stuff that you got to do to be a good deer hunter. I've kind of given up on deer. I mean, I like to eat deer, and I'm going to shoot a couple deer every year, but I don't really bow hunt them anymore. But I did for years, loved it, but it's just not that stage of my life right now.
I'm definitely in the same boat. I'm a fair weather deer hunter, no doubt.
Yeah.
I like it. I got a couple guys that work for me. I mean, they actually just left for Missouri today, but to bow hunt for a week. But man, they just eat, sleep, and drink bow hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing food plots, and they're always getting pictures, bing, 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 of deer on their trail
Which
cams.
is super cool. But
It is cool, but like that's just not my
yeah
cup of tea. But yeah, I'm definitely, my favorite's turkey hunting. I do love, and I did it for the first time in a long time this summer. We had a SkyQuest Outdoor Ministries salmon fishing trip, which you filmed, but we were up at that cabin up in Hesperia, right on the White, and I fly fished for trout and caught 6 or 7 little trout, and I hadn't done it in a long, and that's a good time.
Yeah, it is good.
That's a good time. I think that's something I'm gonna pick back up next summer.
Oh, cool.
So, and yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like a bobber, so if I fall in,
You'll float to the
just
top.
float to the top. Bethany, any more?
Not that I see on Facebook.
All right.
Well, I think we've been a little over an hour.
Yeah.
For all you guys who are out there, we apologize for the poor weather and our crappy internet.
That's
At our
living out
house.
of the country.
Yeah,
Out of the country, out in the country.
Yeah, we're in our basement in the country in the middle of a rainstorm.
Yeah.
So.
Using broadband internet, it's not.
But
gonna
I
work
did
very
watch
well.
Governor Whitmer tonight, and if
Whitmer?
Whitmer, whatever, Gretch, big Gretch,
Big Rutch.
she said that she's going to start pushing for better internet for everybody in Michigan.
Except for Ravenna.
Yeah, well,
Except for anybody who doesn't vote for her. Then.
Yes.
if you're registered Republican, you do not get good internet.
But anybody else,
So
you're good to go.
Anyway, well, I think for tonight, I would just want to say thanks, Jimmy, for coming out. I mean, I know,
You come over and hang out for a bit.
and it was garbage conditions. And since I didn't really let Bethany talk the whole time, I'm going to make her do the close.
Oh, I don't do this ever. It's weird. Okay. Hang on.
Oh, hey, upcoming episodes.
November 8th, we have potentially Scott DeCamp
Yes.
coming.
West Michigan celeb.
West Michigan, Muskegon sports
He doesn't
reporter.
think he doesn't
celebrity.
think he's
doesn't
famous,
think
but
that,
he is.
He's also my boss. So
He's
it
also
kind of
Bethany's boss.
Works out.
Nice.
And then upcoming in not November, I guess November, kind of into December, we have some fun Christmas episodes that we're gonna do and plan and maybe deck out the podcast room a little bit with some Christmas. We're big Christmas fans over here at the Benton Bull Show. So.
And we're gonna have good friend of the show, Anna Ani,
Yeah.
at some point, and I'm gonna get my ears waxed live on the show.
It's a real thing that we're doing. So
She better bring some extra wax.
Yeah, she's
Big old pot of
aware.
it's a lot of hair.
There's a lot. I mean, the older I'm almost like a werewolf quality.
I'd be a little scared that it gets stuck in your ear.
I'm more
I'm
concerned
you.
about the outside of my ears. Like if I didn't like cut the hair on the outside of my ears, I would have like long black
Maybe
hair on
she
my
can
ears.
put wax in and then all the way out, and then it'll like come out ear mold shaped. You know
Wouldn't
what I
that
mean?
rip my ear?
No, it's wax. It doesn't rip your skin off. It rips your hair off.
There you go.
I'm just saying if you encapsulate the ear in wax and then you pull the wax,
Your ear is not.
my
gonna come
ear
off.
might.
That's definitely not how skin works.
But is it how ears work?
I'm done talking about this.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And Bethany, let's get out of here.
I was just gonna say what you did. So thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, Jimmy, for coming. Thank you. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.